Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brothers Take, the podcast where three brothers give their take on their interests each and every week. My name is Chris. I am joined once again by my brothers Adam
Hello.
and Eric.
Hello.
And we are back in room this week to talk more gaming, catching up on last week's Gamescom 2024. Apparently, it's the biggest gaming event of the year every year. But I think from the outside looking in, it maybe doesn't always look like that because like the kind of showcases that get shown aren't necessarily like the big game showcases that people think of every year. And then the trailers kind of get drip fed and stuff. So you do end up seeing a lot of stuff. But apparently, if you go to it, it's like insane. Like and you get to get hands on with like some of the demos of the games that are to come, and you can meet some of the developers, and you get to like go to sets that are built by all these developers at massive booths and stuff. So like they were saying, there's a huge music festival going on around Gamescom in the entire city of Cologne at the same time. Like apparently it's absolutely gigantic, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe some year we should go to it. That sounds much better than
That's not that
just
far, I guess.
try to watch trailer. I've been to Cologne before. It's a nice city, actually.
Nice.
Does it smell nice?
It smells great, and it's got lots
Good.
of awesome street art everywhere.
Nice.
I don't think it has anything to do with the word Cologne. I might be actually pronouncing it wrong. I think maybe it's Cologne or something. I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
Cologne.
Cologne. But anyway, we're here to talk about some of the stuff that maybe caught our eye, or maybe some of the stuff that we're like wondering about around Gamescom 2024. This is not to say that we checked out absolutely everything that would have came out of the week that is Gamescom, but just to say that a lot of stuff did come out, and some stuff we're going to talk about, and just obviously a lot we're going to miss. But if there's anything that you guys wanted to shout out, make sure you do let us know. So if you're watching YouTube, jump down into the comments at any point to share whatever stood out to you from Gamescom 2024 or anything that we bring up if you want to share your own thoughts on those. If you enjoyed this episode, please do give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell for all future content. And to those who listen to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X at The Brothers Take. Again, to give your take on Gamescom 2024. Do stick around as well to the end if, like us, you are lovers of the Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth, because while not necessarily Gamescom related, it did come out in the same week, our first trailer for the long in the works animated movie, The War of the Rohirrim, which is a new Lord of the Rings movie. And we've finally seen a trailer for this thing. We're going to give our thoughts on that towards the end too. So do stick around for that if you're a big Middle Earth Lord of the Rings fan. But without further ado, let's talk Gamescom 2024. So I think like because there's like showcases every day and live streams every day and people's thoughts every day on different shows and things like that. I think I just said like, why don't we just just type Gamescom 2024, because they end up drip feeding out all the trailers anyway, and literally just click on stuff that is of interest to you. Now, I did watch the opening night live show, just because I was trying to like. Sometimes there's little things that get lost in the the algorithm and stuff, and I'm like, you know what, that's a good way of catching a lot of the stuff that's probably going to come out. And I enjoy those showcases kind of casually. But we didn't. It's not. This is not necessarily a review of that show. This is like that's not what this episode is. This episode is just stuff that caught our eye maybe during Gamescom 2024, including maybe stuff that caught our eye in like a what the fuck was that about kind of thing or whatever. If we have any negatives too. But where would you guys like to start? Is there anything you wanted to start with specifically? Anything that like caught your eye or?
Well, then because I only watched Opening Night Live.
Right.
I didn't really catch anything else. I think Xbox had a showcase, didn't they?
I think they had more than one. To be
Yeah.
honest. I think they had a
So I
few.
didn't really see anything outside of that.
Right.
Yeah. Is there anything that caught your eyes? Like, there's two games maybe that kind of piqued my interest a little bit.
Yeah.
From Open Night Live, but that's about it.
Well, if we stick on that for a moment, I know Eric, you didn't see Opening Night Live, but I suppose if me and Adam were to shout out one from that, you can say whether you saw the trailer or not, and then if you haven't, we can kind of catch up on it. Well, first thing actually I want to do shout out is and it launched last week. Black Myth Wukong had a launch trailer, I suppose, during opening night live. The game is now out. People are playing it. At the start of the year, it was certainly one of our most anticipated games of the year. Has that anticipation remained, or has it fallen down a little bit for either of you guys? Anyone planning on picking it up? Where are we at with Black Myth Wukong?
I'm just keeping an eye on it. I'm not going to jump in straight away.
Yeah.
Might be something I get later on in the year.
Right.
But yeah, still looks as really, really impressive. I might be just trying to see if the initial hype, if that remains, and might be interested in picking up then. But yeah, no hurry.
Yeah. How about you, Eric?
That's actually, to be honest, that's what I did for most of the week. Instead of focusing on Gamescom, I actually focused on the reviews of Black Myth Wukong.
Nice.
So from
Super excited.
yeah, well, I'm probably going to get it when I come back from holidays. That's probably when I'll get it. I mean, graphically, it looks really good. I wanted to get a feel because I was really expecting a demo because we didn't get a demo.
I thought it would get a demo. I really did think it was going to get one.
Honestly, I think it kind of probably needed a demo. I
don't know if it does. I would have thought so too, but it seems to be doing ridiculously well.
But it could have done better with a demo.
Or would that have put people off? I don't know, but go ahead.
Anyway, so yeah, I just kind of I was looking it up because I was like, what is this Soulsborne, or what is this like? And
yeah,
while it looks very similar, it seems to be, I don't think it's as difficult.
Right.
But there is no block. There's just a lot of like dodging, and sometimes you can parry, and there's like stances and stuff, a bit like Ghost of Tsushima.
Would it be like Sekiro in that way then?
I think it's probably closer to Sekiro.
I think it's like Sekiro, but not necessarily as difficult as Sekiro. But it's like
from
Sekiro.
What I've heard it's not as difficult in that when you die, you don't lose all your XP.
No, you don't. And you have lots of skill trees and lots of abilities and spells. I think you can upgrade whenever you want. Okay. And when you die at a boss, the bonfire, so to speak, shrines in this game are usually just outside the boss's fight area. So you don't go back so far.
To you have to fight all the enemies all over.
All the enemies again.
All over again. Or
yeah, you don't have to do any of that shite. So it seems a little bit more forgiving. Now, most of the reviews I saw were all PC.
Mm-hmm.
So when they talked about performance and stuff, and sometimes they're saying there's sometimes performance issues that pop up.
Yeah,
but
I imagine a lot of them will be ironed out, and it's kind of one of the reasons why I'm wanting to kind of wait it out and just kind of see how this goes. If there's any issues, it's going to be patched. So
yeah, I would like to see some more PS5 reviews.
Yep.
Because it launched day one, PS5 and PC.
Yeah.
And to date, it's Metacritic. Now, maybe this has changed by the time this episode comes out, but at the moment, at time of recording, its Metacritic rating is a PC rating only, and there not enough PS5 reviews, so it says TBD for there was only one PS5 review on Metacritic when I checked. All the rest were PC. So I mean, I don't know what that means really, but it seems to be doing incredibly well on PC. It's like the highest selling game on Steam or something. Like, it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about it? You similar boat? You gonna wait out?
I'm so hesitant about it. I tell you why. So it was one of my most anticipated games, and at all points I was always saying, man, I really hope it's not a Soulsborne, personally, right? And I know it's not, but I'm still not hearing exactly
there's definitely
what I want to hear.
Yeah.
It's like,
there's definitely drips of that kind of DNA in there. Like, for someone to say it's not, I mean, it looks it, so there's elements of it that are for sure.
I see the stamina bar, and that's you can run out of stamina and it'll fuck you up, and I'm like, that's enough to have me nervous. Like, I'm not big into that kind of thing. So my outlook on it is this: the game looks so fucking gorgeous, and I really want to play it, right? But I'm nervous about the difficulty and the fact that there is only one difficulty. So if you are finding it hard, there's no dropping it down to like ease your way in. If you just want to, because I want to experience the world more than anything. Like I'm just looking at it going, this looks fucking amazing. And I'm not necessarily looking for a challenging combat game. It's not really my way of relaxing. That's not really my thing. So, no, great for everyone who
Would it
really
be-
wants that. So I'm still wanting to hear a little bit more from people. The kind of reviewers I like watching, who actually will show you the gameplay and talk through it more than just a score kind of review thing.
Yeah.
And maybe get a better insight as to what is the experience of this game like.
If it goes on sale, would you be like, okay, this is the right time for me to try it?
Again, I don't know.
Yeah.
It really depends on like the if I feel like there's a barrier of actually playing it, because like
I'll tell you what, Chris. Right, I'll tell you what. This will make it easy for you. When I get it, because I will,
yeah,
and I
go
get
on.
it.
Yeah.
and I'll play some of it, and then you pop on over.
Yes, that's what I need. I need
Right,
a hands-on
and-
myself, I think, to decide.
You know what you need? You need a demo.
I needed a demo.
need a
I
demo.
did need a demo. I was all in favor of a
Is-
demo. I was, yeah.
Is
this Saturday, like-
because it's kind of hard for me to tell now that we don't have any physical game stores anymore. Is it digital only, or is it available physically?
You can get it physically, I think.
I think you can get it physically.
Okay.
I'll check that. I'll find out.
Yeah.
I'll get
I'm
back.
pretty sure you can. Actually, if anyone is playing it, please let us know. How is Black Myth Wukong so
I know
far?
our good old friend Craig Paralis
From
over
Last
the
Call
old
Gaming.
States, Last Call Gaming. He has it, and I don't know if he has played it yet, but he is excited to play it. But he has it on the PS5. So if he
Craig,
is
when-
listening to this, let
Yeah,
us
when
know.
you played it, what's it like, Craig? Tell us. Yeah, like it just looks amazing, and I
Hmm.
wouldn't be surprised if there's more games to come. I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the year this is one of the Game of the Year contenders.
I would not be
That
surprised if it was
wouldn't
one of the
surprise me.
games.
If it was one of the games this year, yeah.
If it was one of the games that did it.
No, but I'm
yeah.
serious. Like in the was it usually 5 or 6 games that are nominated? I
Hmm.
wouldn't be surprised to see it there. It depends on how other things perform in the year as we go on.
Sure.
But yeah, so that's Black Myth Wukong for the moment. There was a couple of games caught my eye during the opening night live thing. One of them was not necessarily like, oh, that's on my radar. I'm like, when that comes out, I'm getting it. But it visually really caught my eye, and it was from the creators of Little Nightmares 1 and 2. Am I speaking
Yeah.
your language here, Adam?
You absolutely are.
And strangely enough, like Little Nightmares 3 was shown off during this thing as well, right? But it and like the Little Nightmares series has a lot of love and a lot of fandom at the moment.
This looks way
but
better.
This got overshadowed actually by this other one, which could be a Little Nightmares game, but it looks way darker and way scarier, and it was called Reanimal.
Yeah.
And,
Oh yeah. It's seen trailer.
oh
yeah.
my god, it looks so fucked up, man.
great.
Like the visuals looked insane.
It's basically like a 2.5D platformer of just the fetus in Resident Evil 8, like as a whole. game.
Kinda. Yeah,
yeah, I'm
just
here for that shit,
grotesque
man.
kind of shit. Well, is this something you could play, do you think?
Oh yeah. I saw this and I was like, this is pretty savage. I would love to jump into this. I think I was watching
That
Pagan
that's fine to you, but like Resi 2 or something isn't.
It's the goating at the end was just so like
yeah,
incredibly
it's really
and I don't like always drawing the like a lot of people tend to draw a lot of similarities between like goats and Satanism, right? But it did have that kind of a striking like hellish kind of image to it, you know?
yeah. There's like this Tim Burton meets Del Toro kind of look
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
And has a lot of it kind of has. It's almost like a grown-up or more mature version of something like Limbo or Inside. There's something.
Yes.
It's like way darker version of one of them. Love both of those games. Yeah, I think Reanimals is definitely something I'm gonna keep on my radar. That looks great.
What was it? You said there was kind of 2 that caught your eye during that entire
Well, it was
show. What
Reanimals,
was-
and the only other one that really, it's not that it's something that I'm looking forward to, and I would want to play it. But I thought that the presentation for Indiana Jones was better shown here than what we've seen previously.
That is true.
Is that
I'd
the
give it that.
one where Troy Baker does the narration? Is it or?
Yeah, it's just giving you
Yeah.
kind of a better taste of like the whole vibe of it. I thought, yeah. I kind of
Yeah, it was like a game overview nearly, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's on Game Pass, so I might just give it a go, but it's not something I'm like over looking forward to. But I just thought that this presentation of it wasn't bad.
Something that I do think is worth discussing around the Indiana Jones thing actually is, well, first of all, I'm surprised at the release date. I really thought they were going to try and squeeze it in just before, because now they're out of they're in next year's Game Awards nominations, right?
Okay.
I really thought they were going to try their best to squeeze it in, because maybe Xbox could get, Troy Baker as a nominee for best, the voice acting category. There's a few areas like that, or best action adventure, that kind of thing. Where it's like, oh, this is like our big flagship game this year. I really want to get a few acolytes on that, so that when we're selling more copies next year, we can add them to it, So I'm kind of surprised that they went for a December release date, but obviously, the game's ready when the game's ready too. I'd always said all along, because it's coming to Game Pass, I'll absolutely try it, and if I enjoy it, I'll keep playing it. If not, I'm not invested in an Indiana Jones game personally, as much as I enjoy the original Indiana Jones movies. I think that some of the decisions they're making with this game, in particular the first-person perspective, and then switching to third-person perspective because they recognize how important the silhouette is, but they also want to make you feel like you are him. And that switch back and forth makes me feel like I am not him, So it's like, there's weird decisions that they're making with an Indiana Jones game. But by all means, I'll try it. The thing that I thought was so strange after they announced the release date, which I know a lot of people who are excited for this game were waiting for, and I think that would have been enough information to have people popping, was to then announce that it's coming to the PS5 in spring.
Yeah.
And I was like, Xbox, what are you doing with your marketing? You're up and down all year this year. You have a win with a developer director. It's like, whoa. Then you have a lose with it. We're shutting down the studio that made Hi-Fi Rush. What are you doing? Then they have a win with like the best games showcase in years. And I'm still riding that high. They had the best games showcase in years in the summer. Fucking incredible, right? And then they're going, well, you know what? Our big exclusives, they're coming to PS5. It's like, what are you doing? Because everyone every so often is going, why do I have an Xbox? Like, you keep making me question why I have one. And it's like, oh, this is why I have one, because you're showing me all the fucking awesome stuff coming to Game Pass. And then around the corner, it's like, yeah, you wait like a month or two, it's coming to the other one that you have. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, and I'm not surprised it's coming to PS5. I'm surprised that they're not going to wait and see how many copies they sell on Xbox first before they then go, right, we've now sold. No one else the sales have stopped on Xbox. Anyone who wanted it has bought it. Now we put it on PS5, which is what PC, that's what they do with PC versions of PS5 games. Say like a game of God of War, like God of War Ragnarok. It has a good year on PS5, sells like crazy. Sales slow down. Time for the PC port.
But no one's going to buy it on the Xbox because you have Game Pass and it's coming to Game Pass.
I think you're right, and I think actually, I don't know if it'd be Disney or Lucas Games or whatever. I think someone wasn't seeing enough pre-orders, and I was going, I'd like to see some pre-orders, please.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't surprise me at all. And when they announced it, it was like, yeah, I think that makes sense from a business perspective. Not enough people are buying Xbox. Yeah. If they just want to stick to just Xbox exclusive games, they're not really going to make any money because no one has the platform. PC, hard to say if it will do good there. There's just a huge player base on PlayStation, so that's where to put your games. And I think Phil has always mentioned how he's just not in this race anymore, this kind of console race. They're focusing on content now is what they want to bring. I think their biggest competitor is Steam.
I actually agree with all of that, and I'm not surprised that it is coming to PS5. I think all that actually makes sense. I'm just surprised that they wouldn't let the Xbox have their release date for even a little while. Let them have that bit of excitement rather than straight after it going, and it's coming to PS5 in spring.
Well, I wonder if it's
wait a little while,
I'm wondering what the actual success of games from the PlayStation coming to Steam actually is. How much mileage do you actually get out of that? Especially the whole wait after a year thing. The hype is gone. It's done.
I always see the hype reignited though when it comes to PC. Like
Not
Ghost of
really.
Tsushima got a huge
Yeah, that was really well.
like a third life. You know, it got a second life when the director's cut came out, and then on the PS5 version, and then it got a third life when the PC version came out, and everyone was sharing that again.
Yeah, but
We
the
got a
sales I think are greater. It's almost like like when a movie comes to cinemas, the box office results thingy, right? It's after spending so much money on it, you need all that money back. The launch window is where you're going to generate most of your sales.
Sure.
So I just think it makes sense. I think if they waited the year, I think they've killed it, really. Because what if it's not great?
Right. Well, that's true too. Right. That's true too. Yeah. What does this say? Like, do they have loads of faith in this?
I don't know. But I they obviously want to make as much money as they can right now. They really need it to fund their studios that
100%,
they've
yeah.
purchased.
Yeah.
No, it makes a ton of sense to me. I don't have any issue with it. The only people I would see have an issue with it are people who have or who are in the fanboy race.
Sure,
And
yeah.
that's quite a small minority. And people who own both consoles is also a small minority.
True as well. Yeah. Yeah. So you didn't pop at all at him for Black Ops 6. That didn't. That didn't.
It was a
make you
good
go,
presentation,
"Hell yeah!"
but you know what? They've always presented well. They've always been quite
Yeah.
cinematic, and I've
Yeah.
been let down every time. So no.
Fair enough. How about Squirrel with a gun? Somehow I thought Squirrel with a gun was going to speak to you in big ways. I thought that looked like the best of crack. You didn't think that had like Goat Simulator kind of levels of energy going on?
No, but Goat Simulator did.
Yeah, that's true. Goat Simulator remastered
Which
had a
was
pretty
one of the best
funny
trailers
trailer.
I've seen in a long time.
I spent the whole trailer going, "What is this?"
Yeah.
You know, and it's like different references would come in, and I'd be like,
Pagan
I
got
mean,
it
it's
like almost
clearly
immediately.
something. How?
I know. Mental.
What,
But
wouldn't it said GPD outside, which is obviously Goat Police Department or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's a play on RPD. I think was a play on the Resident
Maybe.
Evil Police Department or something. I don't know. It looked funny anyway. You weren't popping for Civ 7.
very impressive, but no.
Yeah, a lot. I think a lot of the thing is that a lot of the games, it's like there's absolutely nothing wrong with how that game looks, but it's just not for me or whatever. Like it's like
Yep.
for the fan base that's into that, cool. I thought it was interesting that they started the show with Borderlands 4.
Brave.
The timing
that,
of it,
that's
yeah,
obviously
the
come off
timing of it
the
is-
hype of the movie.
Well, I'm wondering, like, because they set these shows well ahead of time, like, so I'm wondering, were they thinking people are going to be on a high after the movie? Like, did they have a lot more faith in the movie than it did, obviously? And then they were like, we're going to line our, announcement for, like, people are going to be on a Borderlands hype. We're going to line up our, announcement for the next game. Or were they just like, you know what? Because, like, it's a cinematic. It doesn't show any gameplay or anything. Where they're like, okay, the Borderlands name has been damaged so much, we need to fucking announce that we're making the fourth one to just get people talking about that instead. I don't know.
Maybe.
Could work either way. I suppose the game I was most looking forward to from opening night live, because they had announced beforehand that they would be at it, was Batman Arkham Shadow. Because I'm a sucker for this stuff, and like even though I can't play it, I'm like, there's a part of me that's just so thrilled that there would be a new entry in the Arkham universe at all, and I just so wish this wasn't a VR game. I would fucking love another Arkham game that's just. I've been replaying the Arkham games. They're so fun. They're so unbelievably fun. And I'm like, this is a formula I don't think I can get sick of. Let me do Predator mode. Let me do the free flow combat, detective mode, and a boss fight. Like, just keep rinse and repeat. Do that. Like, and there's like characters in here where I was like, holy shit, Lyle Bolton, Lockup is in this? Are you kidding me? Like, that kind of shit blew my mind. And yeah, the Rat Catcher is going to try and help Batman catch the Rat King. That's fucking cool. And I'm just like, oh man, I really want to play it. Because every time I hear the developers talk about it, I'm like, you're saying all the right things. Like, they're making it a similar length to Arkham Asylum, and they're wanting to make it like laid out like Arkham Asylum, where there's a series of dungeons, and it's like a Metroidvania, and you unlock the dungeons more and more as you get gadgets.
Okay,
and
so why
things.
don't you get a Quest 3?
Fucking sick, right? I don't want to play it in VR. I want it to be a third person game. I want to.
But you don't want to like, all right, you've played a game where it makes you feel like Batman.
Yeah, you
don't
gotta
wanna
admit,
play a game
Arkham
where you
VR was
get
pretty
to
sick, right?
be Batman.
Arkham VR was pretty sick.
Imagine
it
that
was
as a full
really
game.
cool. Yeah, yeah. What do you think? I mean, is there? I mean, obviously, yeah. Like we don't have the MetaQuest, so there's that.
If I had the MetaQuest 3, I would be checking that out. I actually would.
Yeah.
I think generally my experience with VR is that whatever they show you, it's generally better than that. You cannot demonstrate.
It's hard to demonstrate.
You have to.
It's hard to make the trailer. Actually,
Yeah, you have to put it on and experience it. It's very, very different. Now, I'm not saying that all the time because, I mean, there are obviously some games that just... a lot of cases as well, a lot of the games where you're like, this looks amazing, actually turn out not great in VR.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think, because Arkham VR looked crap. I remember when it was first announced, it just looked shit.
But there's a difference when you feel it, right?
When you put it on, you hear the 3D music and you're looking around and you're interacting with it. It's such a different experience. If I had the Quest 3, yeah, I would totally get it.
Well, Eric, what do you think of Arkham Shadow?
I mean, give me more Arkham games. This looks great. Getting the Arkham Origins Batman back as well.
Yeah,
it's just so nice.
That game is underappreciated. Give it
It
some
is
love. Someone
underappreciated.
remaster Arkham Origins for God's sake.
And yeah, so like when it comes to showing the gameplay, it did look a bit sort of stagnant, maybe.
Right.
But I think that is just a case of what Adam was saying, is like it's hard to demonstrate VR games sometimes.
They were saying one of the big inspirations for the combat was a mix of Beat Saber
Cool.
and what's the other one?
Swords and sorcery. I don't know. I'm so
No,
sure.
like Hot Rush or something like that, or what's it called?
Oh yeah.
what's it called? There's a VR game that everyone was like mad on, and it
Yes.
was really action orientated. It was really
You know that game that me and you, Adam, we were playing.
Oh.
It makes you sweat like an absolute trooper.
Super hot.
Super hot.
yeah.
Yeah.
They said those kind of
That's a
games were
great
their
game.
inspirations
That
for the
is.
combat.
Right.
My
So they were
God.
like, they were saying like, you will sweat playing this game, you know, like they're like, but they wanted to, they wanted to capture like everything that you do in an Arkham game. They wanted to do that in VR.
Yeah, I think the hard thing with it will be I've actually not played enough VR games where I have full control over the movement with an analog stick. Most of the games I've played have been like some sort of teleporting or you're on rails. So it's kind of hard for me to know what this would be like. I suppose I played a bit of Resi 7 VR. That was pretty sick, but yeah, again, it's just in most cases, right? Even if it's like one of those showpiece style VR games, right, where you're just, I don't know, you could be standing on Pandora and you're just looking around. Whoa, right?
Yeah.
Anyone watching you is gonna be like, "Will you fucking do something? This is boring as hell."
Yeah,
but
but it's
you're
different
like,
when you're
"This
in it."
is
Yeah.
amazing." You know, like
Yes.
your experience is so different to it. So I feel
yeah,
like that will be. Obviously, we'll see what the reviews are going to be like. The Quest 3 is not cheap though.
No.
That's the thing.
But we also know that like if it can live up to what they're saying, just with how ambitious this is, like this is the same studio that made the Iron Man VR game. I mean, when we get to the Game Awards, this is the VR game of the year, right? Like
Maybe.
it's gonna. I mean, you know, it could be
is
this
there not
or
that-
Alien Rogue Incursion, maybe.
Is
or
there not that
something like that.
maybe this particular VR game is not coming out this year? My God, what is it called?
Why do we keep blanking on the names of VR
I
games?
don't know, but it was a kind of dark medieval fantasy VR
Yes,
game, and
Behemoth.
the guy Behemoth. Thank you very much. Of
Yeah.
course, it was called Behemoth. There was a giant behemoth in the fucking thing.
Yeah, it was sort of
That-
Shadow of the Colossus kind of scale.
Yeah.
And
If
stuff,
that's
yeah.
coming out this year, that could also be another one. Because I mean, the
Another contender.
scale of that fucking
Yeah.
thing is
Did they mention
crazy.
by any chance why it's not coming to PSVR 2?
That has been asked. and people have asked, like, is there a port of it coming to
Right.
PSVR 2? And they've always answered the question with basically, no, it has been made for the MetaQuest. We believe in the MetaQuest, and we want more games for the MetaQuest. I'm
So
sure it
Meta
was like
has purchased it then.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's like a deal more so. It's like we want to
Yeah.
sell more of these headsets. We need a big, like,
Yeah.
a big game, a big franchise.
Seems
to
like
sell
such a risk, doesn't it? Like if to bring out a
it does a
game
bit, and I was always
not
surprised
make
that,
it
like,
available.
for the Arkham series to return
Hmm.
in this format is so surprising to me. But I also think like I'm in two minds of it. Like, because part of me was like, I really wish this was like a third person game, but that they were bringing it back to Arkham Asylum style gameplay. Like, that sounds so appealing to me. But I also think it is really ballsy for them to go all out on VR.
Yeah.
And to go all in on VR, to go like, no, this is going to be a full length, like nearly 10 to 12 hour campaign game, like with doing all the shit you expect to do in an Arkham game, other than drive the Batmobile, which they confirmed is not in it.
I'd be more willing to kind of engage in it if it was on PSVR 2. I don't have PSVR 2, but out of all the headsets,
I
that
know,
would
yeah.
be the one I would pick up because it's not necessarily the cheapest, but it seems to be the cheapest, most capable one, if you get me.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I get what you mean. But yeah, let us know, everyone, if you have an interest in Batman Arkham Shadow. Obviously, there was a lot of games during the show where, like, you have moments where you go, oh, that's not for me, or it's like, yeah, that looks pretty cool, but, like, maybe not particularly memorable or stand out or whatever. Something that did stand out to me, it's not a game. It's an anthology series called Secret Level, being created by the guys who created Love, Death, and Robots. So I take it it'll take a similar style to that in terms of each episode is a completely different, like, they're not connected in any way. They're like standalone stories. And is it Blur are working on this as well?
Blur
The guys
working on it, yeah.
who used to make all those amazing, Knights of the Old Republic cutscenes that everyone was just like, please make that.
Yeah.
Why is that not the movie? And Tim Miller, who got very emotional on stage, was basically saying that, like, people were asking him for years, why aren't you just making stuff like making full shorts or making movies or making things like that? So now they're making an anthology series coming out this year, which I was very surprised at too. And each episode is going to be based on a different video game. Did you guys see the trailer? What did you think of it?
That was the second trailer I saw, and I was a bit like, huh? But also like, yay, awesome. This could be finally the video game stuff we're kind of looking for. Because I don't know why animated stuff, CGI stuff, tends to get away with a lot more than live action tends to. But this could be really cool. The fact that it's coming to Amazon Prime. Amazon tends to do good quality shows, even if you don't agree with every decision they make in some of those shows. The quality of them tends to be very good. So I am looking forward to this. I mean, I like Love, Death, and Robots. So the fact that it's from pretty much the same people or same visionaries, this could be very good. With then you have Kratos, God of War. There's Sifu. There's gonna be an episode.
I have a list.
Oh, sorry,
of all
you have the
games.
lists, right?
I have
Go
a
for
list. It. So the games that they're going to do episodes on, and some of these I'm like, what is that even going to be like? Pac-Man,
it.
Warhammer 40,000,
Nice.
Concord, Mega Man, Unreal Tournament, New World Aeternum, Armored Core, Spelunky, Honor of Kings, Sifu, Dungeons and Dragons, The Outer Worlds, Crossfire, Exodus, and then the last one says PlayStation, which will feature a number of PS games and characters. Is it like a All Stars Battle Royale?
Maybe.
episode?
Maybe. I thought Ghost of Tsushima was a thing, so maybe it's in there.
Maybe that's in there. Yeah. So Adam, what did you think?
Yeah, premise seems good. Look forward to it. I didn't realize it was just all video game because obviously two of them are tabletop, but are a few more of them? Are the rest all video game
I'm not sure because there's some of those I hadn't heard of,
or just
so
games in general?
might be just games in general, or most of them have video games anyway. Like Warhammer 40K is both, isn't it? It's tabletop and there's a long list of video games in that universe
Yeah.
I
at
mean,
this
there's
point.
Space Marine 2 coming out
Um,
this year.
yeah, that they most of the trailer I would say was the Warhammer 40K stuff. I don't remember ever seeing Pac-Man in there. I have
Yeah,
no
he's at the
idea.
end.
Oh, is he? And I don't know how Spelunky would work as an episode, but I'm really curious. Like that means that they might all be different animation styles, much like Love, Death, and Robots is different genres.
Love that and robots.
Yeah. So actually, I think this is a really exciting, cool idea, and I look forward to watching it. And I do think it'd be a fun series to review on the podcast.
Yeah.
Because it fits into a lot of different interests. And nice to see Warhammer 40K get some love, baby. Make a full movie. Right. Would that work as a CG movie? Or would you want to see it
Well,
live
Amazon
action?
Prime at the moment is working. I think they're trying to work on a cinematic universe with Henry Cavill, and at the moment, I think Henry Cavill is not fully on board with some of the decisions they're wanting to do.
Yeah, I have an idea. Make one and see
Yeah,
how it
yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
Stop with
Yeah.
the cinematic universe shit.
I honestly,
and just
I was
make one.
I was
Blame
surprised
Disney
that they
for
said. I was surprised that they said cinematic universe. Now, again, this was a report. Maybe the report had false
Sure.
information, so take this with a handful of salt when it comes to reports from the internet.
Including us.
But if that is true, of the idea of doing a cinematic universe, I was very surprised. I was like, really kind of thought you would do a TV show with it.
Yeah,
it could be
yeah,
what they
I know what you
mean.
Or
It could
maybe.
be like various
Cinematic quality, maybe. Is what they
like
mean,
Star
maybe.
Wars. Like they're all obviously connected within the universe, but each show is its own show. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, yeah,
They
yeah,
probably
okay, fair
take it in that aspect, just because, like, I mean, it's going to be very difficult. Well, you know, easy way out is okay. It's a space marine, it's an ultramarine, and that's it. But there's so much you could do in terms of like who is the hero, and who could we follow, and who are the enemy. What's the big thing that you're going against? Like, it's not clear cut with Warhammer to say this is obviously the direction we should go, unless you're picking a very specific. Like, even if you decided to choose the Horus Heresy as a time frame, even in that's so huge, and who do you follow? Like, it's so difficult to do that. So that I can see where they're coming at to kind of go, well, we want to build, because we can do multiple stories, and there could be multiple shows, there could be a feature film, we could do an animated, we could do live, whatever. So I can see where they're coming from with that. I think if you just did one, I think you do suffer that issue of like, where do you go? And I think everyone would be fighting over it, fighting over what direction to head in. And
this is where the arguments over the script will come from.
I think you end up with a really shit product, as opposed to if you actually
Possibly,
not the DCEU direction of we need to build a universe to compete with, but rather we need to build a universe to actually,
because it's the only way to tell it.
it's the only way to tell it. We need multiple different creatives on this to offer different flavors, because the universes it's so varied in terms of style and all that kind of stuff. I could see maybe that direction, but I don't really have faith in them. So
It also makes complete sense from a business standpoint. If you're someone like Amazon Prime, and the idea is you want to keep subscribers,
yeah,
so multiple forms of content, it makes sense. But yeah, outside of opening night live, then obviously lots of trailers and stuff have flooded the internet for Gamescom stuff. Eric, anything catch your eye?
The first thing I saw from Gamescom was extended gameplay for Crimson Desert.
Right.
was that shown? Oh, cool.
Oh, so that was not an opening night live, which makes me kind of wonder where the hell was that put.
But
That looks
as I was saying, like, people who go to Gamescom play the games,
right.
and
Yeah, well, I
then
did.
stuff gets leaked online.
I did see one journalist. So I saw three things for Crimson Desert. One was
Amazing.
just a full fight scene with this big giant antler-headed Yeti creature.
Saw that, yeah.
Looked very intense, looked very cinematically cool.
It was like, how would you like some WWE in your Witcher game?
It was that. I think that's the first thing he does. The first thing time you enter the game
Yeah, he
is with
gives the
some
people's
bandits.
elbow.
And he fucking pseudo flexes. So he picks a guy up. The RKO's him. I was
It was like, if you've
what
seen
is
all these other trailers where it's like, what is this game? It's like The Witcher meets like Breath of the Wild meets like Assassin's Creed, and every time they show a new trailer, there's another game in there. This time it was WWE. It's like, what is going on? What is this game?
Is this
There's
on
so
your
much stuff in
radar?
it.
Is this that you're
this
looking to pick up?
this was on my radar, I think, since the minute they showed it, like the
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
years ago. Because I was like, this looks way too good to be true.
This
And
looks
is it
unbelievable,
still?
right?
It still
Yeah.
looks way too good to be true. I know that when people get this is going to be a little bit broken because it's just
Right.
just
It
have that
can't
in your
be.
mind
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it's
And
not going to
from
run
what you're seeing,
flawlessly.
is this is like actual demonstrations of it, or is this all pre-recorded stuff?
Well, the
could be
last video I seen
pre-recorded.
on it was a journalist playing it, and she was talking about her
Yeah.
experience
Oh, okay.
playing
Cool,
it
cool.
and saying
Yeah.
that she was getting
Because I always felt
uh,
that with like something like Starfield, right, where it's like this seems unbelievable, or No Man's Sky. It's like this seems just,
Yeah.
and then
No,
it
yeah.
releases and it's like, oh, actually, it was too good to be true. Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, that's why I am saying like keep fucking keep
keep
some
your
element of your
expectations in check,
brain.
right?
Yeah, keep your expectation that this isn't going to run as smoothly as you think it is.
So is this a day one purchase for you, or is it like, okay, let's see
I'll
how this
wait
goes?
and
Yeah,
see
yeah.
how much WWE is in this game.
Right.
Um,
I said that as a joke, by the way. I do think the game looks very good from what they've shown so far.
it does
I'm
look
not
incredible,
bashing the
but
game
it
in
does
any way.
look like
Exactly what you said.
Witcher, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Dragon's Dogma 2, and then with a bit of WWE in there. Like, not joking. Like he really
You gotta
does
see it to believe it. He says
fucking orchestrate
suplexing
a
everyone,
chapter.
like.
Yeah. But it
Yeah,
looks really cool, and I think the setting of the world seems really cool. It's a very gritty kind of area. It just looks fucking vast out of it.
Yeah.
The amount of shit you can do with it, even like there was a moment as well where I was like, holy shit, was like just the movement of the horse just looked so realistic in the like when he was kind of maneuvering and it kind of tranting off to the side and stuff, and I was like, fucking hell, like attention to detail in this game, the other things you can do in it looks nuts. So I'm definitely going to be keeping this highly up there on my radar,
Yeah.
if that's how radars work.
Yes. Very high on the radar.
Um,
What else?
The secret levels. Then I'm actually going to do a shout out. A guy who listens to our channel. He sent me 2 things, which I do believe I sent to use.
Yeah, and at time of recording, I hadn't had a chance to watch them yet.
Fair enough.
I was in work when you sent them. So.
Oh, that makes sense. Right. So one of them was an 8 minutes of a game called Black State.
How's that looking?
Graphically, it looks great. The reflections and lighting looks fantastic. This definitely is a game that looks like it still needs a bit of work in terms of gameplay and sort of particle effects and stuff like that. But on concept, this looks really cool. And it kind of gave me some vibes of almost like a Christopher Nolan movie. So it starts off on a ship, and then he's like moving around the ship, and then he goes to a door, and he's like, right, found the first portal, and then he goes through, and it's like that. It's seamless, and he's in a museum with all this like almost Greek art and all these other like different art pieces and shit, and then he fucking gets a key card, scans the Yoku's, right, going to the next portal again. It's just like that. He's now in some weird like Resident Evil looking lab, but it has this
What
sort
you
of
say
like
this is called?
Black State.
Man, I gotta watch this. That sounds crazy already.
Again, like much work is needed on the gameplay mechanics, but in concept, this looks pretty cool. Graphics wise, this looks pretty impressive. The lighting is really good, and there is like somewhat of an element of like Metal Gear Solid as well. Looks like it's a kind of a futuristic tactical espionage as well in there. The other game he sent me then was Atomfall.
I'd seen this before because this was shown. Now maybe not this new footage, right? But this game was showcased during the Xbox showcase.
Right, and
I believe it was one of the games during that showcase.
It was one of the games.
It was one of the many games in that showcase that didn't stand out to me at that time. But maybe that's just because I'd been absolutely like mind blown by everything else around
Right,
it.
you just have so much going
But
in.
it's sort of like a little bit like Fallout, right? But in Britain instead of America.
Right,
That's the vibe I got, but maybe I'm
It's
wrong.
it is Britain. I wouldn't necessarily say Fallout. I'd almost compare it to like Atomic Heart or BioShock maybe or something.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, it's set in England. I don't know, it's England or South Wales. One of the two. It's kind of I think it's on the border area between England and Wales. And they set up this new looks like the government set up this new lab and then walled off the area and now you're kind of stuck in this area and I think you're joining like a resistance or something like that to try free yourselves from this imprisonment in your own town. But it's a first person game, and if that's the type of thing that you like, I do recommend checking out the trailer. It does look graphically again, looks quite impressive. And if that's that idea of that kind of first person weird steampunk style design, because it almost um has some weird steampunk World War II esque design to it.
Yeah.
Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's an ordinary town in England, and I just don't realize that their towns look like they're stuck in World War II era.
Is it not set during World War II then?
Maybe it is. I don't know.
I thought I was under the impression that it was like a period piece with like a sort of a sci-fi skin on it, kind of a thing. Like
well, it's probably more set during like the 50s. Because
Right.
it's considering the name Atomfall, and I think that they implant like a nuclear plant
1850s,
or something.
1750s. Where are we?
No, I think 1950 surely.
No, like
Based on what it said.
1350s.
1300s. What's the
2050s.
name on that style though? You know, like that that BioShock does and stuff like that, where it's like
First
a
person?
no. I don't mean style of gameplay. I mean,
Yeah, no, steampunk would
you know,
be...
no, that's I think there's a name on it where it's a like an alternate history kind of type, where it's a future based on if something else had happened in history, kind of a thing. I think there's a name on that, but but anyway, I from the impressions I got when I saw Atomfall was that it was a this is like an alternate version of say the 50s or the 60s if something else had happened during World War II or something
Like
that.
Wolfenstein.
Like, well, yeah, there's a name on that style of thing though, I think.
Isn't that just
But
alternate history? No?
maybe it's just an alternate.
Alt
But it's
history
no
for short.
but it's no longer an alt history. It becomes a, do you know what I mean? Like, because BioShock
Alt reality?
maybe an alt reality, maybe. Okay. So if anyone knows if there's actually a term on that kind of fictional storytelling, tell us. But anyway,
Anyway, yeah. So if that's
Science
your
fiction.
type of thing,
it's just science fiction in general.
Well, it's the
That's
Man in the
right.
High Castle kind of situation, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bang on.
I
yeah.
still be
Famous
meaning to watch that. That's
sci-fi
long.
writer, so I would say sci-fi then.
Sci-fi.
Mhm.
I was asking this the other day. Sorry now to derail the Gamescom conversation for
Nah, it's
what
no
will now
bother.
be
None
a
of us
little.
watched it, so it's fine.
I watched some shit from it. No, I don't want to like spend too long on this or anything like that, but I actually was looking up the definition of science fiction the other day, right? I don't want to spend
Oh.
too long on this because this could go nuts, but I was like, what?
You've piqued Adam's interest. This-
But like,
What does it
what?
mean, man?
What is your favorite definition of science fiction? No, but what actually is science fiction? You know what I mean? Like, because basically what I've seen was, and why I was trying to find the definition was because I was trying to clear in my head, because I would have called Star Wars a fantasy movie, right? And I think it
Okay.
very clearly is that. But I kept seeing it on sci-fi lists.
Yeah.
And then and not only that, I was like, whenever it was describing the reasons they were classing it as sci-fi, I was like, they're not wrong in what they're saying.
Yeah.
So I can't disagree with it. And I'm like, maybe it's both. Maybe it exists in both definitions. But I was just curious, like, what actually is the definition of science fiction? Started looking up and stuff, and I mean, it's very broad, isn't it? You know, so it's not very clearly defined actually, and lots of things that don't look anything like each other can both be science fiction, is what I learned. But anyway, what do you think? Did I say this was going to be short? Lies. Welcome to the next 3 hours of the podcast.
You're not wrong. Star Wars is both.
Okay.
I would
Yeah, well,
throw it in the sci-fi category, right? I do think it exists in there, but it
Okay.
utilizes the fantasy
Storytelling
formula.
mechanics. Yeah.
Yeah, like
But like Alien is sci-fi horror.
yeah, it's the horror. It's the haunted house in space. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be fair to call Star Wars fantasy sci-fi or sci-fi fantasy or something like that.
Science fantasy, I suppose, is another if you want to shorten it down for yourself.
Yeah.
Because I did
Um,
see that when I was looking into the whole science fiction thing, they were showing like sub-genres within science fiction,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them was space opera. So I was like, so are all space operas sci-fi?
I would probably classify them as that. Yeah.
Is Star Trek sci-fi? That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is sci-fi.
Yeah,
Oh,
right?
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's cool. I needed to clear in my head.
No. You've started this conversation now, Chris. This is what the episode's going to be now. We're
Well, you
going to
see,
talk
what
about
happened
different
was
things.
and this is actually all driven from there was like a radio host or someone. I think Dad was telling us that he was listening to it. He asked, "What's the best sci-fi movie of all time?" And he was quoting what he had heard. According to this guy, it's Interstellar. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, don't get me wrong.
That story is not entirely correct, Chris.
Well, tell me the correct story.
The story is that the cinema is stated they're bringing back the greatest sci-fi movie ever, and it's Interstellar.
Okay. Oh, that's what it was. Okay. So, right. So they had stated that. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Interstellar is an amazing movie.
It's an amazing
Might include it on
sci-fi
that list.
movie.
But I was like, if the agreement is that Star Wars is a sci-fi movie, how could you possibly call Interstellar the greatest sci-fi movie ever made? That's just
Yeah,
not
it
true.
is incorrect to say that Interstellar is the greatest when 2001: A Space Odyssey exists.
You know, I watched that recently.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a conversation for another time.
Yep.
We'll be here forever.
Back to games.
Another game that caught my eye. It was one that Eric sent in actually into the chat. Was The Spirit of the Samurai. I don't know if this has gotten a lot of attention. I thought this looked fucking incredible. I was blown away by the stop motion style of the animation. The characters looked insane. It just looked so fucking cool. I don't know if the side scroller gameplay thing is something that I would stick the whole way through personally. But aesthetically, I thought it looked absolutely sick. I think people should look it up.
Yeah, I sent it in specifically because of the aesthetics. It wasn't like, oh my god, this is a must-have for me because side scrollers aren't really my thing. But when I saw it was all stop motion, I was like, that's fucking class.
Yeah,
That's
it
awesome.
looked
So that's why I
cool.
sent it in. Like, it's such a new, fresh kind of animation style.
Well, speaking of games that aren't necessarily like my thing, but you can just like step back and go, "Wow, that looks impressive." Any of you guys see the game Inzoi?
Yeah.
It's sort of like The Sims
Yeah.
with like GTA graphics or something. I was like,
fucking
I was just
insane.
I was looking at it,
I
just
haven't
being
seen it.
like, "Oh, Eric, do look at it." Now, not my kind of game at all,
Yeah.
but wow.
Very,
just
fell it.
very, very impressive.
INZOI. What game engine are they using?
Unreal, I think.
Unreal 5?
Sure.
IMZO.
I don't know. Yeah, it must be.
Or
Was that the
have
latest?
Yeah, but maybe they've peaked Unreal 4. I don't think people have fully figured out Unreal 5 yet.
I don't know. I think it is Unreal Engine, and I think this is going to absolutely
Unreal.
explode with people who are into like interior design.
And just like, this thing could wipe the Sims off the map. Like,
It could if it's like if
it's
it's a good game. Like it has to
It's
be.
a good
It
game.
has to
like,
be a good
yeah,
game. You
of course. Yeah.
It's kind of like people thought that what was that game? Something Pals or whatever was going to wipe out Pokemon.
Oh, Pal World?
But
Gotta hope. You can't knock out Pokemon.
well, unless Pokemon seriously needs to fucking like. Did you see any of the showcases for Genshin Impact?
I saw all the Hoyoverse stuff.
Right, yeah, but it's just like when you look at something like Genshin Impact, which is just really, really impressive with like the longevity of that game, like how much they've added to it and all this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and it actually looks and performs very, very well. Like, come on, Pokemon! Like, there's no reason you can't look.
Yeah, come on, Pokemon.
Come on.
I don't get or know what Genshin Impact is. I see it, I hear it, and
Yeah.
I'm like, sure.
I've
I
tried.
don't know what you are.
Yeah, I've tried it out once. It's not my kind of game at all. But
Is it a
just,
mobile game?
like it's on everything. Like yeah, it's on
It
mobile.
was
okay.
once.
Yeah,
It has
yeah.
evolved.
It's become this massive thing, but it's
Huge.
just like when you see games like that, and then you see what the latest Pokemon game came out. It's just like, come on, you actually have all the money in the world. You're like one of the richest companies in the fucking world. There's no excuse here now. And Inzoi just kind of shows like it's mental how it looks. I wonder what the actual product is and how it's going to end up looking, and if it's too
Can you
overwhelming.
imagine a Pokemon that looked like that?
Nah, I wouldn't want that. I think Pokemon needs to look more like what Genshin is.
More stylized?
No,
More
I
anime.
I think
Pokemon needs to
anime
look like the
next-
cartoons.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
next step, I think, for Pokemon is like Little Nightmares.
No,
Get outta
Pokemon needs
here.
to look like the cartoons. That's it.
You reanimal
Imagine
freak.
like
And he's actually
real
perform well.
fucking fucked up Pokemon trying to hunt you down as a kid.
Eric, you should watch the trailer for Inzoi.
I
Again,
will. I've
I'm gonna
written it
say it's not a game. I think you'd have no interest in playing the game,
down.
but just purely from a visual standpoint, even the way the characters move and stuff, it's very impressive. I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
There was
I was
a game-
surprised it wasn't shown during like the opening night live showcase, because I saw like I didn't get to watch the show when it was on, and then I saw that was like the first trailer that came up for me for Gamescom. Actually, was this Inzoi one?
All right.
So I assumed it was like a big one shown during it. And when I watched the showcase and it wasn't in it, I was really surprised actually. I was like, I mean, that game would get a lot of attention from the audience, I think.
Well, I was really surprised that Crimson Desert wasn't during the opening night live.
Well, I think
Yeah,
this
I think-
raises a question, really.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that opening night live?
These showcases, like we're
Yeah.
talking about games that weren't even in it, right? Is there a place for a showcase like this anymore?
Well, this is what I was trying to say about, like, I think you should just look up Gamescom 2024 and just watch whatever appeals to you, because the point of Gamescom is not opening night live. Opening night live is just a showcase within many showcases in Gamescom, and maybe Jeff Keighley's way of just keeping everyone's attention on him for another little while. But it's not like the Game Awards, and it's not like Summer Game Fest. And honestly, it's the one that most people skip.
Yes, but
And
in saying
people
that,
usually don't
I
expect
also find
Big things at that one.
the format of both
Yeah.
Summer Game Fest and the Game Awards,
Hmm.
I don't find them that interesting. I would
Yeah.
rather just watch the reveals. There's something
Just a bunch of trailers.
Something
Just-
has been lost in the showmanship of showing games since the decline of not just E3, but the PlayStation showcases. They were like they were amazing the way PlayStation used to show their stuff.
Yeah.
They've lost something, and I know Keighley is like saying, "Oh, the games should be as big as it should be there. It should be as big as the Oscars." No one watches the Oscars. No one cares for the Oscars. Why would you want to try to replicate that?
Yeah.
I
wish
don't like the format of this thing.
I agree with you. And I wish you had seen the Xbox showcase when it was live. It was spectacular. I cannot stress that enough. It
Are they the
was
last-
the best
maybe they're the
games
last,
showcase in years. But because the reveals were drip fed to you kind of after the fact,
Right.
it won't have the impact if you go back and watch it now. Like, it just won't.
Well, it
But
might.
it was just banger after banger and very little talking and no advertising. Like, it was just, there was 3 moments where someone would talk, and it just gave a break from just the trailer after trailer after trailer. It was
I would
so
say the
good.
best showcase, the best showing in Open Night Live was actually the guy coming out to reveal secret levels.
Yeah, it was really good. It
Because
was really good.
it was so genuine.
Yeah,
That
and
guy's-
it really didn't seem like playing it up to
No.
get applause. Actually,
No.
In fact, it seemed like he got a little bit embarrassed. Not that he should have been,
Yeah.
but it seemed like he got a little bit embarrassed about the fact that he got emotional on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
It
Is
was
there
real hard
anything
there, yeah.
else from the week of Gamescom that anyone wanted to shout out or talk about before we wrap up our Gamescom talk?
Nothing from me.
Well, I did watch it, So, because like
Well,
if you
hold on.
if you follow this channel, you know when it comes to me
No, no,
and
no, no, no.
showcases,
Listen,
I'm not exactly over the moon about them.
I'm not talking about showcases. That you called out loads of trailers from Gamescom, so you have seen stuff from it. I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit. I literally said this episode is not a review of a showcase. It's not the point of it. It was just, is there anything from Gamescom that we liked? The highlights of Gamescom for us personally and that kind of thing. So I just wonder if there's anything else before I move on that you didn't get a chance to talk about. That's all.
No, not really. I thought Tiny Glade looked cute.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
there's my shout
there was a
out.
trailer. There was yeah. It's like I say, look at it. If you've nothing to say, it's okay to say no. You know. Fuck your fucking Tiny Glade.
That does look cute. That looks like a cute little game, all right?
I'm joking. There was a trailer I saw, and again, I thought it would have been part of Opening Night Live, especially with the nature of what those shows are. And it wasn't. So, but it did come out as a Gamescom thing, and it was a type of controller, an Xbox sort of joystick type controller.
Yeah.
For like players with disabilities and things, and it's very
Oh, that's cool.
adjustable. You can change like the type of gear stick, the style of it and everything, and it's to make games more playable to like people who obviously would find the more conventional controllers more difficult to use. And I thought that was a really cool new thing to try out there. Very surprised with the nature of the show that it wasn't like, you know, a trailer in there, but very cool that it's a real thing that's coming out. I think it's a cool thing.
That should have been a thing in the Opening Night Live. I think that would have gone
Well, again,
well.
it's not needed. It doesn't need
No, it's
to,
not
because
the whole show wasn't needed. You know?
Yeah, like
The show's
we're
not
talking
needed.
about it, and it
Yes,
wasn't even in the
correct.
show. So
Yeah.
it obviously was successfully in terms of how it's marketed. It's quite successful. It was.
Yeah, I wasn't like saying it's a shame it wasn't in the show. I was just saying I'm surprised it wasn't in the show.
Yeah,
Given that's all I'm saying. Like given the nature of
what it is, I
what the
thought
show,
that would,
you know.
considering what that controller is and what it's for, I thought that would get into the Opening Night Live.
Yeah. It wouldn't have been misplaced there, certainly.
No.
But anyway, guys, those were our highlights from Gamescom 2024. Oh God, I'm gonna have to buy a MetaQuest. Let us know what your personal highlights were from Gamescom 2024. Any game trailers, game reveals, new updates on games that came out during the entire week that maybe stood out to you guys, and let us know your thoughts on everything that we brought up. We did say that before we finish up this week's episode, we would give our thoughts on, again, not necessarily something that was part of Gamescom, but it came out the same week, so we can't not talk about it. Being huge Lord of the Rings fans of Middle-earth and the universe of Tolkien, the Lord of the Rings War of the Rohirrim animated movie, which has been in the talks for years. I fucking remember this years ago. Like this, I can't believe we haven't even seen this. Long time. We finally have a trailer for this movie that's coming out this Christmas. What did you guys think of the trailer? What we saw so far?
Biggest surprise, it's coming to cinema. Didn't expect that.
Yeah, I was really surprised it's coming to cinema.
I actually thought. I don't know why I thought.
IMAX cinemas.
I don't know why I thought this was a Netflix thing. Maybe I'm mixing it up with something else, but I thought it was like a straight to stream kind of. So that's
Right.
Yeah, that's surprising. That's
Can I throw a spanner in the works there?
you may.
Okay. Because I'm very excited that it's coming to cinemas. I think it deserves to come to cinemas. However,
Probably not coming to our cinema.
probably not. Because you know
I-
what?
Select cinemas around the world.
The Boy and His Heron also came to cinemas, but not here in Little Wexford in Ireland. You know what I mean?
True,
So I
true.
feel like
But Godzilla -1 somehow managed to find its way to our cinema. So
That's true. I really hope it
In our
does. Like
little
I'm
rural
not
town.
trying to be that guy because I mean I absolutely would go see this in cinema. You know what I mean?
Nah, it's
I think the trailer looks great. So I'm hoping it does come. Eric, what did you think of the trailer as a whole?
I think it's pretty. I remember they couple of months ago, a good few months ago, they did release a couple of images for this.
Yeah.
I really like the animation style that they're going for, and I think this looks like a really cool movie exploring an area of Lord of the Rings I don't think we ever really got to see, which is when people fought people. Because it's usually whenever we see it, it's people versus orcs.
Yeah.
So now we're seeing that this kind of the political side that exists in Lord of the Rings that hasn't really yet been explored, but was within the history books,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
Helm Hammerhand ruling over Rohan and the war
That sounds
between
so sick.
Rohan
And then someone says
and
Helm
Dunland.
Hammerhand is like the most metal thing I've ever heard. It's so sick.
How he got his name is even more metal.
Yeah, yeah. Go on, tell us. How did he get his name?
Well, I think they show it in the trailer, isn't it? That, like he punches the guy and the guy dies from that one punch.
Right. This is a story that I'm not overly familiar with in like the lore of Middle Earth, which also makes it exciting for me because it's not a case of like I'm not going into this like I was going into the Hobbit movies, waiting to see how are they going to adapt this thing. I'm
Yeah.
actually going in so blind that I'm like, this is a brand new story for me, and it's really exciting that actually. But that's so I didn't know whether that's a new story, new character, new thing, or whether that was how it goes down in
Yeah,
the
no,
books. I have no idea.
I like I'm not overly familiar with this tale
Era
but,
and this, yeah.
it's those character. Wolf is the guy that comes to. I think in the trailer it's like he wants to marry Helm's daughter.
Yeah.
So that's all there. The daughter character, however, I think I don't recall a name, and I think maybe that side of it is like made up. So they were able to take liberties and do what they want with that character and explore that character further. The rest of it, yeah, it all seems pretty straightforward.
It looks great. I have two questions for you guys before we wrap up this week's episode, right? One of them, which maybe we should talk about first, is who do you think that guy is at the end picking up the rings with the weird voice and the creepy hand? Do you have a theory on who that is? And the second one, could this possibly be the best animated Lord of the Rings movie? Like, could it possibly beat Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings? That's what I really want to know. So let's start with the first and first. The hand at the end picking up the rings. Any theories on who that might be?
200 years ago. Probably just a servant to the Dark Lord.
I think it's
No,
just an orc.
you think it's just an orc? I just thought it was weird that they almost did it, and it's a typical like trailer thing to do, but to like to not show the character. I thought it was very specific, but maybe that's just the shot.
Yeah, I think the emphasis there is more on the collecting of rings rather than who's collecting. I think is the
Okay, because I really took away from it. I was like, oh, is a story point of this going to be someone looking for rings? You know, like
maybe.
Where does that fit into this story? Is there even a point in that? But
I would
I'm curious if there's something to it. That's all.
I would say that I do find it a little. I'm kind of at odds with it being an anime, if I'm going to be honest.
Sure. Would you have preferred it live action?
Not necessarily.
Do you think? No.
Well, I think live action would be fucking cool because you could.
It'd be nice to
there is an opportunity.
Rohan again.
Yeah, there is an opportunity
thing, you know,
to make it look like the OG trilogy, and there's an opportunity to do a series of films, which I think they plan to do anyway.
No!
This
Guys.
is one of the set pieces that
I said this.
Are they doing a cinematic universe?
Why can't we just do one? We don't. Why is everything
Chris,
a trilogy? Like
Chris,
please. Yeah.
They are doing it regardless of you not liking it.
Okay.
This would have made a great film.
Yeah, it would have.
Yeah,
would have made a great film.
I'm
still looking forward to it. Don't get me wrong.
I'm
just saying.
The only reason is that I think I just associate that animation so closely with Japan and Japanese stories and all that kind of stuff. It just feels a little bit
slightly uncanny.
Yeah, it seems a bit strange just to see something that's quite Anglo-Saxon in style.
Would you have liked? Good question, actually. If
it was rotoscoped. Now we're talking.
Just before we get on to rotoscoping, if it was done in the art style of the Banner Saga, would you think that would have been suiting a bit better?
That'd be sick.
Like maybe, yeah. I don't know. I can't not see like Ghost in the Shell and just like
right.
You're looking at Lord of the Rings and you're thinking Animatrix and you're going, something's not gelling here.
Yeah, it's a little strange. It's just because like I think Alan Lee and John Howe I think are involved in this.
But it doesn't look like their art.
Yeah. There's something like
I understand.
their art is so tied to Middle Earth for me that I think I would have liked maybe an animation that was closer to that style or something like that. I don't know. It just
Sure.
But yeah, look forward to it.
So then, is it possible that it maybe won't be the best animated movie of all time and can't possibly beat Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings? Sorry, not of all time. I mean,
that's a
best
masterpiece.
Lord of the Rings animated movie. On a serious note, do we think it has a chance of being the best animated entry in the Lord of the Rings series?
On a serious note, yes, it has a chance.
Isn't it wonderful that it's kind of come full circle again?
Yeah, it's beautiful. This should have been rotoscoped. You're dead right.
Yeah.
If anyone hasn't seen the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings, I highly recommend it. Do watch it. If nothing else, it's highly entertaining.
Is that the room of animated movies?
No. Yeah.
No,
do you know what? No, I do. It's sort of it's a weird one because it's like there's a lot of like strange choices, but Ralph Bakshi, despite all those strange choices, is somewhat competent. And like, because you could watch some of his other work and it works in its own context. You know what I mean? It's just that it was a strange style to apply to Lord of the Rings, whereas Tommy Wiseau was not competent at all.
Dude's genius.
You know,
I do love in Bakshi's one where they still keep the shot of Aragorn tripping over his scabbard and falling.
And they animated it.
And they animate it. Yeah, they keep that in and go,
It's
yeah,
gold.
that's fine. He tripped over his scabbard, fell over, and
They're
then he
like-
gets up and runs.
They were like, well, they're great storytellers. They're like, this is going to humanize him.
Yeah. I the unfortunate thing about that film. Well, it's not the only thing. There's so much unfortunate. But the cover art and poster art for it
is the animation you want,
So
actually.
fucking good. It's what you expect. You're like, that looks amazing. I
looks
can't
epic.
wait to see this brought to life.
Yeah.
And then you watch the thing.
Well,
God.
just before we finish, I do have to say this because I was telling a friend of mine about it and how we saw it, and it was our dad rented it in a DVD rental store at the time, and we had seen The Fellowship and we had seen The Two Towers, and Return of the King had yet to come out, and this was sort of claimed as like the animated movie of the Lord of the Rings, like the entire story. And at this point, I was like, oh my God, I'm so curious how this is all going to end. And Dad came home with this. And I was like, oh my God, we get to see how it ends. And it ends at the same point as The Two Towers. And I was like, God damn it. So I was like, because as I was sitting here going, I hate this, but at least I'll get to see how Lord of the Rings ends. Because at the time, I don't know, as a kid, I wasn't that worried about spoilers. And then, yeah, by the end of it, it's like, I watched all that and I still don't know how the Lord of the Rings ends. But thankfully, actually, that's a good thing because I think it would have absolutely spoiled the spectacle that was Return of the King. So, guys, that is going to do it for this week's episode. If you have seen the trailer for War of the Rohirrim, let us know what you thought, especially if you're a Lord of the Rings fan. Are you hyped for it? If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. It's up there on YouTube. Let us know your thoughts, as well as your highlights for Gamescom 2024. If you watch this YouTube, jump down to the comments to share your thoughts. If you enjoyed this episode, please do give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell for all future content. To those who listen to us on audio platforms, you can touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X at The Brothers Take, again, to give you your take on Gamescom 2024 and Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. Thanks so much for checking out this week's episode. We will be back to talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.